Hello. Aloha. Hi, friends. Skugtash, Ani Napchuguk, Jennifer Varenchek. Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Varenchek, and I am from the Tohono O'odham Nation. And we welcome you to another wonderful live stream of Sissy, Unci, Aunties. We have a wonderful guest for you all today. I can't wait to dive into discussions and to also just have an opportunity for all of us aunties to sit around and share the tea, see what's up, see how things are going with everybody. Again, my name is Jennifer Varenchek, and I'm from the Tohono O'odham Nation, and I'd love to bring on another one of my lovely co-hosts, Justine. Justine, if you can pop in and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this month for our monthly podcast. Yate, Shik A Do Shidane, Shik A Justine Medina, Yenishe, Snake Clan from Winnebago, Nishle, Nakai Bashachin, Nakai Dane Dasache, Nakai Dashanelli. Hi, everyone. I have to read it from my notes. Hi, everyone. My name is Justine Medina. I am a citizen of the Navajo Nation. My mom is from the Snake Clan from Winnebago. She's also Menominee. My dad's from Yucatan, Mexico. My maternal grandmother is from the Mexican clan. And then my paternal grandfather is from Yucatan, Mexico. Just happy we're all here today and saying hello. And I think I'm having some technical difficulties. Um, so we're gonna roll with it and hopefully it goes real smooth. And let's introduce April.
Hi, everybody. Here, homi takiape, Cordovi, machiape, Malacota, and Tas Pueblo. My Tama is Joseph Conquilla Cordova. My Ina or my cause, Patricia Crow Cordova. I'm sixth generation from Chief Red Cloud. I'm the owner operator of AC and Associates. I'm a mother, daughter, community member, caregiver, barely hanging on by a string, what we talked about earlier before we started this. But hello, everybody. My name is April Cordova. I'm Taos Pueblo, Oglala, Lakota. I am streaming in from Tongva territory, and I'm very excited to be here. So, Wopila, Ta'a, thank you for having me, and I'm going to pass it back over to Jen, who's on screen. And she needs to unmute herself.
I'm right here.
Yay!
Okay, so you know how we are here. We always like to start in a good way. And if you're new, we are a monthly live stream, 3 Indigenous women who come together and we talk about current events, and we also bring on a guest who can give us some insight into whatever our topic is. This month, it's Autism Awareness Month, so we have somebody who's going to shed some light on that, and we're very excited about that. But before we start, we're going to do a prayer. So I'm going to give it back to April so she can start us off in a good way, and let's bless this live stream.
Thank you, Jen, for that. And I'm going to take a minute to say something from my heart. If you don't pray, then just take this time to ground yourself, to breathe, to just listen. And I thank you for allowing me this time. So I'm going to ask that you take a breath in, and then a breath out. Creator, we come to you today with open hearts and open minds, thankful for the many blessings that you provide us on a minute, monthly, second basis, from the ability to walk, talk, be able to zoom in from all parts of the Indian country. We're thankful to have this amazing guest, this baddie with us, this person that is going to laugh with us, to provide us information, and just let us know what she's doing as well. A time to visit with Aunties. Thank you, Creator, for all the many blessings that you've provided. I know that we can all be going through something, from mental to physical to financial to maybe even homelessness. Creator, I ask that you be with all of these individuals, be with our veterans, be with our political leaders, Creator. Allow them to listen to their constituents and listen to what it is that we our voices. But also, if you haven't raised your voice, Creator, let those individuals that see wrong say something. If you see something, do something about it. And Creator, give them the empowerment to call their Congress, to call their individuals, and maybe it will even provide some numbers at the end. But Creator, thank you for another day to just be alive, to meet, to visit, and to get through life, whatever it is that we're going through. Creator, I'm thankful for this time that we get to visit monthly. I'm thankful that I have such wonderful individuals in my life, and I ask that you bless them as you've blessed me. Bless my community, bless anybody that's struggling again, Creator. Thank you. Thank you, Wamana. Thank you, Tunkashala. May we continue to think good about ourselves, to love ourselves, and to know that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, and we will do something about that. Make those dreams come true. Ta'a pilamayaye, gracias et yehe, ajona slay, ajona slay, ajona slay, ajona slay. Oh, amen. The end.
Oh. Woo, that prayer took me somewhere. I have to come back, which leads to our question. I think, is that what's next on our agenda?
Land acknowledgement.
Land acknowledgement. That's right. Teeny, can you do that for us, please?
I can. That prayer also took me somewhere. So thank you so much for that prayer. And definitely want to start off with the land acknowledgement. Just take the time to honor the people the original caretakers of the land that you're on. Currently, I'm on Ohlone territory, so in the Bay Area. So if everyone wants to take a moment just to acknowledge the original caretakers of the land. And we can move on to the question.
All right, thank you. And I don't know if I mentioned that I am streaming in from the illegally occupied Kingdom of Hawaii, and I live in Kahaluu. Okay, so our question is, what do you do to ground yourself? So, ladies, when times are hectic and stressful, what do you do to ground yourself? Who would like to go first?
Okay, these are lightning rounds, so I know I can talk about this for a while, so I want to note that a mental note for myself. But one thing I like to do to ground myself, and I don't do it often, but like I just like water. Like I like to put water on my face when I'm frustrated or when I'm feeling a lot of emotions. When I have a lot of time, I'll take a full-on shower. Like I need to take a shower real quick and then jump out, but water for me.
That's a good one, Teeny. I have all of these things in my head that I do, but I really like that one, especially for me today. And I want to encourage people also to share in the comments what you guys do, to what you do to ground yourself. But for me, I pray. I'm always in prayer, even in my head. I have to tell you this funny story because before, a long time ago, maybe like 5 years ago, I didn't pray as often as I know that I needed. And one time I travel a lot. So I was in my car and I was leaving to Nevada, and I called my comadre and I was like, can you please pray for me because I'm driving and I can't close my eyes and put my hands from the wheel, like, like really churchish, like, and pray. And she was laughing at me. She's all, you do not need to close your eyes. You do not need to put your hands together. Just in your mind, pray with your eyes open. Do not shut your eyes because you're on the road. So from that time, I'm just always in prayer, always, always. When things I feel like are really not going my way, I just talk to Creator. I talk to Wamana. I talk to my ancestors, my mom and dad. I talk to a lot of people, but I'm constantly in prayer. And then if I have medicine, and water is part of medicine, water, California white sage, tobacco. There's a lot of different medicines that we can have. And if you want to name those in the comments too. Oh, my niece is telling us that she prays as well. The one and only Lonnie Garnier from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. Woo woo! Thank you for watching. Okay, so I pray, but I'm going to turn it over because that's lightning round, and that was a long lightning. Okay, go ahead.
For me, lightning round, I'll say one thing that I do is I'll put my feet in the water. So being in Hawaii, there's water everywhere. I'm on an island. I could literally, if I wanted to, walk down my street, but I won't put my feet in that water because it's muddy. But that always makes me just like, it wakes up my senses. And just there's this feeling about when you have your feet, when you're walking on the beach with your toes in the sand and the water on you, it just like makes all worries seem small. So that's my answer, is I like to walk in water. And if I'm nowhere near water, then I'll also pray. Deep breaths, pray. And then also I like to watch Netflix.
Yes, North of North. Who's watching it? Put it in the comments, because that is one show. When it first came on, I think it was like, I don't remember, last week sometime, I was on it. I called Jen or I texted her. I don't remember. I was like, have you watched it yet? And she was probably at her office. I binged it, man, because I couldn't stop watching it. And now second time around, I'm going to have to go watch it again just to get those laughs in.
Agreed. That's why I wore my North of North earrings today. If you haven't seen it, watch it on Netflix. It's hilarious and just really good Native representation.
Yeah, it's called North of North.
Mhm.
People are asking in the comments.
Oh, go ahead.
I can do the introduction to Naomi.
Yep. That's what I was just gonna say.
Awesome. So this month is Autism Awareness Month, and our theme is in all our ways of being, celebrating Indigenous neurodiversity. And this topic is close to me because my son, 3-year-old son, has been diagnosed with autism, so he's on the spectrum. So I'm still learning so much about it. And the first person I kind of called when I learned about all the different services and reached out to right away was Naomi. I was like, so many people are coming at me, the doctors, the regional center, and I was like, I just need to stop and like talk to a friend right now who has been through this process and can help me out. So I thought it was awesome to invite Naomi, and a little about Naomi, who is a baddie, as we've all been saying. Naomi is currently the library manager at the Akchin Indian Community Library. Previously, she worked as an associate librarian at the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Phoenix. She has experience in academic science, engineering, and biomedical libraries for over 15 years. She received her Master of Library and Information Science degree from the University of Washington in Seattle, Washington in 2010. And then from 2010 to 2012, she worked as a librarian in residence at University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. Naomi holds a Bachelor of Arts in German Studies and Political Science from the University of Arizona. She completed a year of studies at the, I'm going to not say this right, Frederick Alexander University College in Germany. When she comes on, she can mention it. She is a member of the Arizona Library Association, the American Library Association, and the American Indian Library Association. Her ultimate career goal is to improve access of information services in Native American communities and to promote libraries, literacy, and lifelong learning in all communities. Auntie Naomi, we are so honored to have you here today. So welcome on to the show. And I met Naomi at the University of Denver, just FYI.
Yay!
Thank you for having me. I'm not sure if I'm there, but I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but I don't know what happened.
Let me check. I think I was just off for.
Yeah, we can hear you. And
can you see me? No.
No.
I tried changing my. I might just have to do a photo and speak because I don't know if my webcam is working.
Okay.
But hey, everybody. I think I was on hold for too long and it froze everything. Can you see my photo? No?
No.
Okay. Well, I've never used this platform, but I'll just speak if that's okay. And maybe I can add a photo later. But yeah, I've known Justine for a few years, many years now, from one of my librarian jobs in Denver. And I also have a kid on the spectrum. And it's been really great having a friend, a mom friend who you can talk to, who's Native, who gets it, because it's definitely a long process and a difficult process at times because sometimes people don't listen to you or won't be telling you what to do. And so it's really important, I think, for parents to speak to other parents and advocate for their kids, what's best for them, because there's a lot out there. And a lot of it, I think, is just like commercialism and money making for certain specialties or certain things that they're telling you your kid needs this at such a young age. And I think that that's something that I really advocate for parents is to say, no, give your kid time, give yourself time, and, do some research, ask people, do some looking around online. There's lots of information and lots of different opinions about things. when we talk about autism. And so it's really important to kind of say who is saying this stuff and when was this written and who is, what's the up-to-date information on it? Because when I went through that journey, let's say it's probably been about 4 years now. Yeah, my kid was 4 when we first started the process, and it was so much information, and me as an information professional to try to dig through it was really difficult. But I think just taking time to do it. It was during the pandemic, and so I had time. I was sitting on my couch every day, and I had some time to digest information, and I found some really neat things. And so today, hopefully, I'll share with you guys a couple of things that are really helpful, I think, for parents who are either going through the process or who have gone through the process and just, are still trying to figure everything out, because I think that's important to share really good information and find really good people that will support your family, that will support your kiddo. I will say it gets better. I tell Justine, it's rough at the beginning. It gets better once you kind of get in your routine and know what your kids' needs are and what supports you need. It does get a little easier, but it's rough at the beginning for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed when Jaden was when they told me that Jaden was on the spectrum, they what Naomi said, it was just nice to have a friend to talk to about this all, especially because they bombarded me with Jaden needs ABA therapy, he needs speech therapy, he needs occupational therapy, and I was just like, whoa. And speaking to Naomi, what she just said right now was really allowed me to be like, okay, you can push back on all of this. And I was like, I didn't even know that was an option. So I just want to say thank you to Naomi at first for being able to tell me that I have a voice in this process for my son. Yeah, just let's stop there. I don't know if you have any questions or if you want to share resources. I can talk about this a lot. Just speaking to Naomi, I wanted her to speak to our community because again, she allowed me to have that voice. Because when Jaden was going through ABA therapy, she warned me, I don't like ABA therapy for her family, and I was like, well, let me try it because they're pushing on it. And ABA therapy, y'all, Jaden's 3 and they try to give him 25 hours a week of ABA therapy. And I'm like, that's a part-time job for a 3-year-old. So no, thank you. So we tried it out first. And then I was just like, no, I don't like this. So I told them no. And then that was it. But it was so empowering to be a part of have that voice in that say. But I'll stop there.
Can you tell us what is that? I don't know what kind of therapy that is. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, so ABA is a short acronym for Applied Behavioral Analysis, which is a psychology term and it's used for kids, little children that have autism diagnosis, usually from the age of 1 or 2, or 2 usually is the diagnosis for littles if they get early diagnosis at 2, from 2 to 5. And they go for anywhere from like Justine's saying she did 25. Most ABA clinics will tell you need 40 hours a week for your little kid to be in a room with someone else learning how to behave. And 40 hours a week is a full-time job. I work 40 hours a week. That's crazy for a 2 or 3-year-old to be in a room learning how to behave. For that, a kid needs to be at home and playing and reading and enjoying life, not sitting in a room getting trained. And then they try to wrap in all these other therapies. So they'll recommend speech therapy or occupational therapy or other things. So parents with young kids with diagnosis of autism that are getting referrals to go to see all these specialists, right, are spending a lot of time just driving around and meeting one clinic to the next clinic. Or sometimes there's a center where everything is all in one clinic, but you spend your entire day there or half your day, or you drop your child off for all this time. Instead of spending time at home with them and being with them. And so for me, ABA was not an option. I told the pediatrician, no way, this is not something I'm going to do. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's healthy for kids. It's totally against my values as a Native person and how a child should be raised. And so there's some controversies and other things you can get into of reading about it. And people say it works, it's helpful, it's this or that. For me and my family, it was just a no. I did my research. I listened to autistic voices and what older people who had said who had kids. I had cousins and other folks that I know that have kids on the spectrum. And just learning from their experiences, I was like, no way. There's no way I'm sending my kid away for this many hours a week. So for my child never had ABA. My child actually never had speech therapy or occupational. He did have occupational therapy for, let's say, about 8 weeks. And then we quit because it wasn't a good fit for him. He was 4 years old and they were treating him like he was like 7 or 8 years old, giving him instructions, telling him what to do. And I said, this kid is a little kid. He is just growing, barely learning, fine motor, gross motor, all these skills. And you're just pushing him to the max, trying to shape him into a kindergartner, but he's 4, or he's 3, and he was very young. And so I think that was a bad experience for our family, the things that we had gone through, and I didn't want other families to experience that. Like my kid would unbuckle his seatbelt driving to the clinic and be like, no. And it was like, and we were there with him. My husband actually stayed with him the whole time with the occupational therapist, but he didn't want to do what she wanted him to do. And it was just a really terrible experience. And so I think that's the one thing that I feel like families have a choice. They have a voice and they should be able to say no. And we were paying out of pocket, like the insurance covers something, but we were paying, $40 a week to do this. And it was just wild. It was like, why are we doing this? This is not okay. So we would say, what are the alternatives? And none of the doctor or nurses or anybody had any alternatives for us. They just kind of were like, And so for me, I was like, well, we're just going to play at the park and hang out with family and do our own thing, because it was during the pandemic. And for us, it was fine. Once I started researching and learning and seeing my kid grow little by little, I was like, he's going to be fine. He's going to be okay. It's a struggle, but if I give him structure and routine and lots of love and care, this kid's going to be fine. And, he has a lot of difficulties and is still, catching up to his peers, we would say, but he's like making it, and it's kind of incredible to see the progress over time. And so I tell parents, like, give your kid time. They're trying to push these kids through, and these kids are not ready for that. They need extra time. And it's good for them to be with family. It's good for them to be, at home or with other kids in a setting that they're learning from others and not just forced into an adult teaching them what to do. They need to learn what to do from other kids. They need to be around other kids and other families. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I really took away from like a lot of this, is that me and Jaden, like how you said, like the doctors don't know alternative. I felt like a lot of these services was like more of like me telling Jaden what to do, not teaching Jaden what to do. And that's being able to like bring in my values and how I want to raise Jaden, not how, these therapy services want to raise him to go into like quote unquote society. It's just really eye-opening. And it really also, like, going through this process has brought me a lot of compassion just for like a lot of other people and a lot of different like ways we all think. But yeah, I'll stop there.
And I'll share that, like, for our personal journey, it was really, for me, not seeing enough representation of any Native autistic voices, or nothing was built for understanding, insurance, or understanding, what's recommended versus what you can actually do versus what, depending on where you're located, if you have private insurance, if you have Medicaid, if you have Medicare, if you, that whole process in itself was really brought to my attention as a medical librarian to raise awareness, to help families understand and navigate the process, to say, hey, first you got to go to this website and fill out all this paperwork, then you got to go to that website and fill out this, and then you have to, it's literally a lot of documentation. And you have to get documentation if you want to apply for services, if you want to get funding to help, do some early intervention or whatever it is that they're recommending. So that in itself made me want to say, I need to help build some, information for parents. And as I was working in a medical school training future doctors and nurses and OTs and everybody, is saying, what do these students need to know so that they can be better providers to the families that they serve wherever they're going? And so being on that education side of saying, hey, there's a lot of information out there. What's actually helpful? What's actually useful? What organizations are providing things in your state that are accurate or up to date, that are online or in print? Where can you go and get information? And then for me, just being able to encourage other families to, not have to say yes to everything, that they can make that choice what's best for their family. They can say no to things. They can say yes to things. They can kind of be a part of the process and not just be on the outside, letting everybody else make that decision for you or for your kid. Your kid should be able to make that decision for himself or herself if they want to participate or not in the process. They should have some agency and autonomy over what they're having to learn or do every day, right? So for me, that's kind of where my advocacy and knowledge is, of saying, what are some organizations or what are places that are helpful? For me, I learned about something called Gestalt language development, which the way it was explained was that there's two ways to develop language. There's analytical language development, which is basically how we all kind of think that babies learn, like word by word and ABCs and different things like that. But there's also something called Gestalt language development, which there is a speech pathologist from Wisconsin named Marge Blanc who has a website called Communication Development Center, and her work was groundbreaking for me and my family. Once I read her work, it made sense because it connected to what I was seeing as a parent in my child's language development. So my kid didn't speak till he was probably about 5 and 6. He had a lot of delayed echolalia, which is when kids repeat things. So he'd go to the park and everybody would be like, hi, what's your name? And he'd go, hi, what's your name? Hi, what's your name? And giving everybody back that. And nobody really understands what it is, but teachers and people that work in early ed will see that. Some kids will have this kind of pattern of language, or there's something called scripting, where kids will memorize language and shows and songs, and you'll see it, and it's just amazing. For me, it's incredible to witness, but it's really exciting because they are communicating. And if you do that investigation as a parent or a caregiver, and you listen to your kid and you try to piece together what they're saying or what they're singing, you can start to see patterns, or you can see them using those songs in the right cases, for asking for things or for doing things. And so once I started learning more about Gestalt language development, and there's 6 stages of kind of letting kids go through to develop the language naturally. So natural language acquisition just happens on its own. You don't need a speech therapist. You don't need anything, but you do need to spend time, talking to your kid and playing with your kid and hanging out with your kid to grow your relationship and just model language to them. So they'll learn in chunks and phrases instead of single words. So instead of hello, hello, they'll just learn, hello, what's your name? All as one. Maybe that's a Gestalt, and that's a greeting. And I think this actually really is helpful to relating to some native languages and how we speak, because we kind of have greetings that are whole Gestalts. We don't have hi, what's your name? Or hi, we have good day, what's going on? How are you doing? Right? They're whole phrases that you're saying. And so when I started putting the pieces together, I was like, wow, this is really great. Because yeah, I see this happening. So that was one way. Once I started reading her website, which has lots of free information, and I've listened to some of the podcasts and videos that she's done of guest speaking with other organizations, it's been really helpful for me as a parent to say, oh yeah, this matches what my child is experiencing, and helps me understand as a parent how to work with my child, or just how to give him time, let him play. A lot of the focus for Gestalt language, speech therapy, is to do play-based learning instead of sitting at a table and just saying words and trying to make the kids speak. It's let's let them play. Let's let them be themselves. And whatever their interests are, that's what we're going to model. If they want to play trains, or if they want to play cars, or they want to play, kitchen, we're going to model language like it's time to eat, but we're going to think about it in phrases instead of single words. So that was something that was really amazing for me to discover during the pandemic when I was researching everything. That really helped me a lot. And then another podcast and like places where I found really good information, there was an occupational therapist that has a podcast and a website, but it's called Learn, Play, Thrive. And I started following their content, and they really talk a lot about neurodiversity and like affirming care. So you're strength based. Instead of telling you your child has all these deficits and they're not meeting milestones and this and that, let's think about what our kids can do. Let's think about what they love to do. Like for mine, it was swinging. He loves to be at the playground and swing, right? He loves that sensation of flying through the wind in the air. For me to find out what he loves to do and to be able to connect that to our everyday routine. Okay, we're going to go to the park every day. Okay, he loves to crash on the couch or on the bed or whatever. I'm going to let him jump and crash for, his body needs that. So for me, learning these things that are actual things in the occupational therapy world and the speech therapy world really helped me be like, oh, okay, maybe we can do this at home. Maybe we can do a little bit of this without paying for it. It's a lot of time. Like I work full time, but I would spend every day after work, 20, 30 minutes just doing one thing that I could play together and model before having to do dishes and dinner and all everything else, right? And just trying to take that time intentionally to be there with my kid to connect was really important. And then the last podcast, Eric's, actually there's a book from Barry Prince that was really great for me, but it's called Uniquely Human is his website. And they have a podcast, and Barry Prezant has been doing research on autism for a long time. And he is he's been doing it for a long time. And so people know him, but his book, he wrote an updated edition, and it's just a really good guide for parents to learn a lot about autism, but also like, what are the strengths of your kids? What are the different things your kids can do? What are different ways to kind of connect and share with your family members or other people about autism in a positive manner that's kind of understanding the bigger picture, because kids grow up, right? And they have other skills and other things that they learn and do. And so I think it's really important to kind of see that big picture. Everybody's gonna say they can't do this, they can't do that. But when you're looking at the big picture of like, hey, what are their strengths? What do they love to do? What are their unique abilities? Like my kid's really good at letters and spelling. There's something called hyperlexia where kids love letters and they learn to read at like 2 years old. My kid was reading books at like 3, and people are like, oh, wow, how did you teach him to read? And I was like, I didn't teach him to read, but I read to him every day, and he loves letters, and that was his strength. I bought him a set of Bath letters that are like you could spell with, and he was just naturally doing that. That was his strength, spelling words, big words, logos, all kinds of cool things. So for me, just finding out what are my kids' strengths, what are things that I can bring in and connect to learning and make it fun and make it a positive experience for him. Like if we have to learn about different things like growing up or potty training or rules, let's find a way to connect that to a show he likes. Or PBS Kids, also shout out to them because their programming is amazing, and we would watch all the songs from all the shows and dance, and the pandemic was survivable because PBS Kids was there. So that's a really great learning free resource also for parents, because that'll keep your kid entertained forever, and they can learn all kinds of amazing things through educational programming.
Yeah, thank you for all those resources.
Mhm.
So then when Naomi provided me with all those resources, I was like, oh, there are alternatives out here, other than like the traditional like therapies that are provided for me. And it was very eye-opening. And like Naomi had said, there is a lot of assessments when you're going through all these therapies. For Jaden, we experienced so much by I probably like at least 5 or 6 assessments. And I feel like by the end of it, I was like, I know what you're looking for, and he can do that, but he's not going to do it the way you do it. he's going to do it this way, or you have to say these words. This is what he responds to. And when I had told them that, they're like, oh, wow, he does know how to do it. I'm like, exactly. So I think really all these resources that Naomi had provided, she sent to me, and I also went deep diving into it. It just opens, it was like a new world to me. And I really enjoy the way like Naomi embraced this all and like really said, we're going to do it in a very like positive manner and not like, no, you're supposed to act this way. Anyways, I wanted to stop there.
Yeah, it's so much information. I jumped on really quickly the Uniquely Human website that you shared, and I can't wait to dive into that. I was nodding my head as you were speaking because I was thinking about my grandson, who is also on the spectrum, and he, so many things that you said, like he taught himself to read, and of course he was reading along with like an audio book, but like he is way ahead when it comes to reading, and he does take occupational therapy, and with the testing, exactly like Justine, like you said, like he would deliberately, like they would ask him something, and if you're not, he would answer in a way that he knows, we all know that he knows how to do this thing, but he'll not answer deliberately, or you have to say it in a certain way, or I don't know how to explain it, but I was just like, I understand exactly what you're talking about. So my question is, what can people do, friends and family, close friends and family, to support mothers and families that have autistic children? What are some considerations? How can we be good relatives to you?
For me, it would be believing what we say about our kids is true, and offering to teach your kids or other kids about kids on the spectrum so that they can be kind.
Being kind, yeah, essential.
Because I think a lot of times when kids are little, like it sticks with them. If somebody's unkind to them, they'll grow up and remember those things. So I think it's really important for us as aunties and uncles and grandparents and parents and, family members and friends not to say unkind things, mean things, things that are just, a little bit off, or maybe you're joking. But I think that's something that really sticks with young kids, and they remember that, and they have really good memories, and it could be something that they remember or repeat or whatever. So just be very mindful of your words. Even if a child doesn't speak or isn't verbal at that time, they are picking up everything. So presume competence would be my other thing. Presume every kid has the ability to do things, and it may be with accommodations or it may look different, but presume competence in everyone, that they have the ability to learn and to grow and to try new things and be a participant in that. And then also work on, what are little accommodations you can make at your events? If you're throwing a big, Easter egg hunt, for example, this weekend, what are some things we can do to accommodate kids who may not like the crowd or the noise? What are things that we could do to maybe have a special time or a special thing just for those kids that need it? So make accommodations in your community for the kids that or families that need it. It means a lot.
Thank you for saying that. As a grandma to two individuals, I have a 6-year-old and a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I mean, I would hope that they're kind, but I haven't really sat down with them and said, let's be kind. Or so I'm going to do that when I see them next time. I'm definitely going to speak to them, because honestly, little kids that age, they're really truthful about anything that they see. They're going to come out and tell you something. But I appreciate you saying that, and especially about events too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think there, like, one cool thing was that one time we were at a play group, and Jaden doesn't talk right now, but he talks in other ways. And one of the kids there they were asking him a question, and Jaden signed, so it was either I forgot, it was fishes for goldfishes or like crackers. And then the kid was like, but he doesn't talk. And the mom was like, he talks, but he uses sign language to talk. And then I was just like, oh, like, thank you so much. Like, it was really like comforting to me. Like, no, he talks, and he just speaks a different language for us to understand and stuff. I was like, yay.
That's beautiful. I was remembering my grandson's first Easter egg hunt, which all the grandparents, everybody came because he's the first in the family, and we were so excited. And he was overwhelmed, and we all got kicked out. We all had to go inside the house and watch from the window as he went and looked for Easter eggs with just his mom and dad. And it was really good because it also showed like who is cool and is like willing to go in the house and like be accommodating, and who is not. I mean, we all went in the house, but like comments and whatnot. And yeah, it is true. And Teeny, I was flashing back to that Easter egg hunt that we planned like however many 20 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but I was like, oh, we didn't make any accommodations. But now going forward, I always will have considerations like that. So thank you for sharing about that.
Mm-hmm. My nephew completed the LA Marathon 3 times already, and he has autism. And my other nephew is going into, he's going to go into high school next year, and they're doing things to prepare him. But I visited with him last week sometime, and just having a normal conversation, like, I'm proud of you. Well, for me, I don't know if my conversations are normal as compared to others, but I'm like asking him how he feels about going into high school. And he mentioned that he was scared, and he always reminisces to one time we had gotten a Airbnb in San Diego, and he had his own room and was able to close the door. And he was so excited about that. And he always asks, Auntie, when are we going to go back to the San Diego house? And, it's just the little things that I think are big things, like little things such as the, not being kind, but then little things in a positive way too, because I didn't know my nephew ran the marathon the first year, but then he said, he came up to me and he was like, Auntie, will you come out and cheer for me at the next LA Marathon? And I was like, yes. I put it on my calendar, and I was there, and we cheered, and he was just so excited. So thank you for letting me share that end.
All right, ladies.
Yay! I think we're gonna wrap up soon, but and we have any last comments. But I do want to do a shout out to like the PBS show Carl the Collector. I don't know if y'all have seen it. It is so cute. I think I don't know what animal it is, but it's about like this boy who has autism, and it's just, the scenarios are just so cute, and they're not only like for like, I feel like for kids with autism, but they're just for parents too, just to learn to be kind and like understand how their brain works. And it's so, check it out. It's free, PBS Kids app. Shout out there. Any last other comments or questions?
Somebody just says, I hear good things. Robin Gomez says, I hear good things about the show. Other comments were, thank you for the information. Another comment was, yes, kids grow differently and parents know what's best for them. We did put also the information in the chat on the websites. So we're thankful, Naomi, that you're here. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, thank you for having me. No, I just think that it's really awesome that aunties and family members can be a part of making accommodations and learning the rules. There's always these funny memes like online, and sometimes I need to send them to Justine of like, these are the rules of our house, right? You have to be quiet, you can't make any noise, but he can make all the noise he wants, you know. But I think definitely a relatable experience with like holidays and how we make accommodations or get-togethers or different things that really make a big difference, and actually the relationship grows. And my sisters, I have a couple sisters and stuff, they're getting to know like exactly what kind of things are important, and like, yeah, he doesn't eat candy, so you can't give him candy or bribe him, you got to think of something else, right? But I think it's really fun to kind of share our experiences and relate to them, because I think that's kind of how we all learn and grow. And I really appreciate you guys highlighting this right now, because it's amazing. And thank you, Justine, for inviting me to be a part of this show with you guys. It's been fun.
Thank you. Before you leave, I have one more question, because I know you said about at events. What are some foods that people might be able to serve at events?
I would say fruit sometimes can be a positive thing if it's like a banana or an apple or something that always has the kind of the same taste or texture. For us also, it's not about the food. It's more about like, is there something else there, like a toy or a different kind of prize? Instead of candy, there could be alternative stuff to give out. It really depends on the kid, honestly. There's no right answer to that. Really, some kids will be all about it, other kids not. You know, like juice boxes or soda or something else too. It's not always about like food. They'll have, you know, maybe they don't want chips, but they'll have soda, or they'll have something else that everybody can have like once in a while as a treat. So I think it really depends. Every family, every kid is different of what their favorites are. And that goes with like anything. Trying to buy anything is surprises don't really work very well for us. So we usually make a Christmas list, or we tell people exactly what things he's looking forward to receiving. And then for birthdays or whatever, say, you can buy this thing or nothing, or give us cash, right? So there's ways that we kind of just like hint at, he'll be really happy if you like, you know, do this or whatever. And so I think just people learning and saying, oh yeah, that's cool, we can do that for him, you know. So yeah, really just talk to the parents, talk to the other caregivers in the family, find out what like special interests or things are really excite them, but they change and they grow, but some things stay the same. So you never know. It's like all kids, you never know. It either hits and they love it, or they're like, no, I don't want this.
Yeah, I was just saying like how Jaden, he doesn't eat candy. I was like, I'm gonna put blueberries in those little plastic eggs. He really likes blueberries.
I love it. I put little notes. I put like love notes, like little sayings. So it doesn't have to be a thing too. It could be a message or a little note or a drawing too in your eggs.
Yeah, really thinking outside the box, right? I was like, I was gonna cut out stickers, but I'm gonna do those notes too. One more resource that I know you put it in there, Uniquely Human, but the podcast was really awesome to listen to, the Indigenous Perspective on Autism and Neurodiversity. That was a really awesome podcast. So just want to link that there. That was a new perspective for me. Yeah. And
if there's if anyone wants to get in touch with you, they can email you, or do you have any social media that we can?
My socials aren't public, sorry.
Okay, yeah, no worries. What we want to be able to let people know if they want to connect with you, they can email you. Uh-oh, I have someone at my door, so I'm going to go silent.
They can email at naomi.s.bishop@gmail. It's on the screen. So, Naomi, I wish people could see your beautifulness, and I apologize for our stream not allowing you to show up, but you are shown up. You are here, and we want to thank you for being here. We would love to, if people have, information or have questions, to reach out to you. Can you tell us a little bit also about the library part real quick that you do and how libraries are good for everybody, or anything around that?
Yeah. Last week was National Library Week, so shout out to all your public libraries out there. And all your university libraries or libraries everywhere. So I'm just a community tribal librarian, and we just provide services for for the Autism Indian community, which is a community here in South Central Arizona. But there are libraries everywhere, and libraries can be a really great place for you to get information. So like the Uniquely Human book that I mentioned, or if you have other requests for different books or things, I might email Justine a list, and maybe we can circulate that around to different organizations and stuff. But there are definitely public libraries in your area that maybe have sensory story times or different links or places where you can learn more information about services in your area. So definitely use your local libraries right now. They could appreciate hearing feedback from everybody in the community and what you guys want to see. So if parents want to have a support group at the library, or parents want to have a play group at the library, feel free to reach out to your local libraries and email them or call them or just talk to them by dropping in. Most librarians are really happy to hear from parents and families of what we can do to support you. And so feel free to reach out. I know there's amazing libraries in California and Arizona, all across the US. So reach out to your librarians and see, what kind of things, or even if there's special interest books that they don't have that you think they should have, you can make recommendations and ask them to get, or even just meetups and support groups are amazing to host, to have at libraries. So feel free to reach out to your local public library and just say that a librarian recommended you go and learn and get more information from your local library about autism and services. They should have a really great collection of books and information, like if you need health information, or I will say sometimes pediatricians don't listen to you. Actually, in our story, it took us a long time. We had to go to like 4 different pediatricians, and so you may have to ask for another one or find another one and move around, because sometimes healthcare professionals are helpful and sometimes they can't be helpful. So don't be afraid to just be like, okay, well, I need to find somebody because I want a referral, because I do want that diagnosis. I mean, sometimes there's stigma with the diagnosis, but for us it was really helpful because we were able to help our kid grow and learn the way that he grows and learns. And so I think that's something that I encourage everybody to do. Check out your local library and use your library card.
Yay!
Yay. I love the library. Well, thank you, Naomi, for being here. Our next show is May 22nd at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, 2:30 Hawaii time, and 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. Thank you all for being here and watching. We will see you in May. So see you then, guys.